activities actually making this chapter very vibrant. I hope it will be going on with more and more activities and become richer and more vibrant. Coming to my duty, let me introduce today's speaker, Sri Janardhanan PS. He did his MSc in Applied Electronics from Department of Physics, Kerala University in 1980. He started his career with the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research as computer programmer. He has worked with CDAC Trivandrum, Hewlett-Packard India Software Operations Bangalore, and Rajagiri Engineering College, Ernakulam. While in CDAC, he did his MTech from QSAT in computer science in 1997. At present, he is working as a technical consultant in Suntech Business Solutions, Trivandrum. During his illustrious career spanning more than 4 decades, he has experienced technology transformations that has been happening in the area of information technology. Now, Neo4j, as you all know, deliver light, fast read and write performance while protecting data integrity. It is the only enterprise strength graphs database which has a number of features used for a wide area of applications. Actually, while I just Googled it because I am totally new to the subject, I was struck by one feature cited as a rock solid reliability for mission critical production applications. Maybe I would like you to touch upon that during your course of discussion. I'm sure all of you all are eager to listen to Mr. Janardhanan, and I extend to you a very warm welcome, Mr. Janardhanan, and welcome all participants for an active and lively session. Thank you. Over to you, Mr. Janardhanan.
Good evening, all. I hope my slide is visible to you. I think during my academic career, I see one of my students, probably Priya Shekhar, as one of the participants. I remember her name. She was my student. Correct me if I am wrong. So, okay, let us start this talk, expert talk on introduction to Neo4j graph database. So the agenda for today's session will be, I will be giving a brief introduction to graph theory, only the 0th level introduction, then the graph databases, the constituents of that databases, basically nodes, labels, relationship, and how to model the data on top of a graph. Then Neo4j, comparison of RDBMS, NoSQL, and Neo4j. It's very important to know the difference between all these categories of databases. Introduction to Cypher. Cypher is the query language for Neo4j, equivalent to SQL. Then webcasts and books, Neo4j certification, how to get certified on this, and some hands-on sessions towards the end of this session. Okay, now, you know that Leonhard Euler is the inventor of graph theory in 1736. And most popular database, RDBMS, probably invented by Edgar Code. You might have learned the Code's rules, 18 rules, 25 rules, how to define a relational database. But when you teach relational database, after some time you will feel that you lack some theoretical support to teach the thing, even if it is called relational database. But whereas in the case of graph database, it is based on a solid theory, which is in mathematics classes in engineering or post-graduation, MCA and all. So basically, this is a very simple visual introduction to graph for beginners. Basically, we know that there are nodes and edges. And when we represent the graph in the graph theory papers, where you write examination and all, you represent like this by some sets, say graph V and E. Then the vertices are in a set V1, V2, V3. E is, the edges are like this and represented like this. So there are two types of graphs, directed and undirected. In graph database, the graph being used is directed. And we probably we might have struggled a lot to pass an examination in graph theory. It was all explanations based on some logic and arguments. In fact, I used to find it very difficult to answer questions based on graph theory. But regarding the database, they are using only the basic fundamentals of it. It's very easy to understand and learn and use it. So what are graph databases? A database built around the graph structure, basically nodes and edges. Each node has a set of incoming and outgoing edges. Relationships, edges connect the nodes. And each node edge is uniquely identified. The node has a collection of properties. This is equivalent to the attributes, which is being used to define the schema in RDBMS. Properties store named data values. With each edge has a label that defines the relationship between its ending nodes. Can store any kind of data because this is a NoSQL database. Unlike the RDBMS or SQL database, NoSQL database gives a lot of flexibility. There is no fixed schema for or properties. Some node can have 5 properties. The other node can have 6 properties, like that. Nodes are indexed for fast initial lookup. It's based on strong mathematical foundation. Relational database is anti-relational. Even if you call it relational database a great thing, when we try to define multiple relations between multiple tables, it becomes a total mess. So the join is a join bomb. If you put a lot of relations like this and fire a query spanning multiple tables like this, you can see that it really goes slow because it has to traverse through multiple indexes to reach the other table and fetch out the data required for constructing the results of the query. But whereas in graph database, you don't have this problem at all because it is based on relations only. And let us compare the relational model with the graph models. In relational model, suppose you have a table, person, and you have a person friend lookup table, and you have a friend. Each and every time when you look up a friend in the thing, the index has to be consulted. So it creates some sort of overhead there. And whereas in the graph model, each node points to all other nodes. The relationship is one-to-one. It's called index-free adjacency. There is absolutely no indexing involved when you move from one node to the other because the index is already built into the node itself. It doesn't have to consult another index table. So representing data, relational database is good for well understood data structures that don't change too frequently, and non-problems involving discrete parts of the data or minimal connectivity. And graph database is good for the problems where the relationship in the data contribute meaning and value, especially in this era of social networking and all. This becomes a real necessity to model the real world situations. So SQL pains and graph gains. SQL pains is complex to model and store relationship. Performance degrades with increase in the data. This is some sort of a big data problem. People use sharding and all to overcome this problem. In say database clustering, Oracle parallel rack and all. To some extent, it solves the problems. Queries gets complex and long. Maintenance is painful. Whereas graph database is easy to model and store relationships, performance of relationship traversal remains constant, irrespective of the volume of the data. Queries are shortened and readable. And this is very important thing to understand. There is a graph storage, which you see at the x-axis, and there is a graph processing you see at the y-axis. There are various different types of databases. To get the ideal advantage of a graph database, the storage layer should be storing the data in the graph structure itself. That is why the Neo4j is really performing well. So if the storage layer is implemented in graph structure using index-free adjacency, is called a native graph database. In some databases, like graph databases, GraphQL, The underlying thing is Cassandra, like NoSQL, but the processing, the graph processing will be done using the graph principles, but the storage will be based on the normal NoSQL database. There you don't get the complete flexibility of the performance. That is why Neo4j is good. Internally, it stores the data in natively in the graph format, and the processing also is done in the graph structure. That is the advantage of Neo4j. That is why it has become popular. And what does node do? Nodes data stores data in a graph with records called nodes. So basically, the record or the row in a table can be seen as a node. Nodes are the member or the name for data records in a graph. If you recollect with the RDBMS concept, the simplest graph that has just a single node with some named values are called properties. Data is stored as properties. It is schema-free. Nodes can have a mix of common and unique properties or simple name-value pairs, usually indicated by nouns. Now, labels. What are labels? By putting a label on top of a node, we are grouping different nodes as a single entity, just like a table in an RDBMS. Suppose when I create 56 nodes for 56 people, if I put a label student, then it becomes a student table when you think in terms of the RDBMS. Labels are tags that associate a set of nodes. But I can put multiple labels on the same node so that the node can become part of different tables. That also is possible. That is why node can have 0 or more labels. If it is 0 label, means it doesn't belong to any, it's a standalone record in the ocean of graph database. Labels do not have any properties. And more data means more nodes. As you add more data into the graph database, the number of nodes will keep on increasing. And the graph database can store billions of nodes. Similar nodes can have different properties. Node properties can be strings, arrays of strings, numbers, Boolean values, byte, date, and they are usually adjectives. And what about the relationships? Real power of graph database is the connected data. To associate any two nodes, add a relationship which describes how the records are related. Relationships always have a direction. Relationships have always an identifier and form a pattern of data, are usually represented by verbs. This is a typical cipher command to create two nodes with a relation. Person by name and loves with an arrow, you can see that is the direction of the relation. At the right side of loves, the node is Dan. So this is, the person is a label. In both cases belong to the same table, basically the person table, and one instance is and the other instance is Dan. I will be doing a demo of this when you go to the query thing, the cipher commands hands-on. The relationships have properties. They also have data records. Relation properties, some information shared by new nodes. They are usually adverbs. For example, Emil has known Johan since 2001. That since 2001 is a property. Emil rates Ian 5 out of 5. That rates 5 out of 5, it can be considered as a property, like that. So this type of diagrams, you can see the whiteboard, see in the whiteboard of most of the IT companies when they discuss about the initial whiteboard model design of any application. Okay, Tom Hanks acted in these things. Later on, it will evolve into an RDBMS table where we will need the relations to be built on top of that. So to refine on that from the diagram, the next step is to name the nodes and relationships. Tom Hanks acted is in a relation. Cloud Atlas is a movie. Tom Hanks is an actor and is directed. Lana is a director, and the Matrix and things like that. Now let us add some properties into these labels. So a person, actor, Tom Hanks, born in this year. This is equivalent to the schema attributes which you put in the RDBMS. For example, a person, date of birth will be there, name will be there, then the place, address, phone number, all those things. They all gets attached to the node as properties. And the relationships also can have properties like this, roles and acted in which role and things like that. So detailed property graph is something like this. It becomes slightly complicated, but it's not that complicated at all. So for one person, there is a relation between two persons. He drives a car and somebody, the husband owns the car and the wife drives the car. The car is another node. It is a data entity. And it drives since this is an attribute. So this is the way the property graph or the thing gets evolved. So the property model, graph model components, nodes, the objects in the graph can have name, value, properties. It can be labeled. The relationships are nodes by the type and direction have name, value, properties. So basically, the nodes are normally nouns and the properties are usually verbs. So the relationships are usually verbs. So in the case of object-oriented design, probably you go through the design document. First, you identify the nouns and the activities performed by that person. That is where the design starts. Here also, you have to identify the people involved. They are the nouns in your design document. Then what do they do with others? This forms the relationships. So they're basically verbs. So the design funda may be compared with the object-oriented design funda. So what is Neo4j? It's a graph database supporting full ACID transactions. You may be familiar with this ACID term. This is the traditional RDBMS concept. It's embeddable in applications and server deployable. It is Java-based, schema-free. It is NoSQL, and it's stable. It is performed in web operations, supports Cypher query language, traverses millions of nodes in seconds. Number of nodes and relationship decides the volume of data. So key product features, it's for Neo4j, as I told you earlier, it supports native graph storage. The storage layer also is implemented in the graph using the graph theory. And the native graph processing, millions of hops per second, whiteboard friendly. It is very easy to map your design to the table. Unlike the RDBMS, after some time, you have to struggle a lot when there are a lot of relations are involved. High data integrity, fully ACID transactions. Normally, the NoSQL databases, they don't support ACID transactions, but this is an exception. Here, this supports ACID transactions. Probably you will know the importance of ACID transactions. When you do a transaction, it's either fully committed or rolled back, nothing in between. You will never lose money because of a transaction failure. The money will be credited or will be rolled back to your account. So the powerful expressive query language, it has got the and high availability, built-in ETL, tools are there, drivers and APIs for these things. And in India, I used to attend there a lot of things. They have some very good customers in India. For example, the income tax department, the next generation income tax application will be using this. Basically, all your transactions using the PAN card and other card will be available to one single entity in a single click. So when this new gen IT application comes, the fraud or the fooling around the system becomes really impossible. So their income tax department is one of the major customer for this product in India. They used to refer the IT department of India in all their presentations. So the graph is a very fundamental thing to know. Nodes are indexed using Apache Lucene scalable high performance indexing. Probably I told you initially that we don't need indexing at all, but we need indexing up to a certain point. Nodes can be indexed by properties. The index can be created on the properties. Why do we need an index for the nodes? That is to locate the seed node or the initial node. Once you reach the initial node 1 somewhere here, the rest of the things is just traversing index free. So out of say 1 million nodes are there, to reach the initial node, the seed node, we need to make use of the index node. That is called the start node, the anchor node. Once you reach the anchor node, the rest it is just very, very easy because all the indexes are there. They don't need an index for further traversing through the graph. But to reach the start node, they do indexing. The Apache Lucene is a very popular indexing tool. So that is the need for, and whenever you talk about Neo4j, you have to talk about index-free adjacency. So here is a catch. There are 2 editions for this. The community edition, it works on single node. It gives almost all properties and HTTP access, everything to learn and do. It is okay. People with a lot of enthusiasm start with the community edition. The features are limited. You will have problems when you want to do this in production. What will happen in the production is that it does not support clustering. Unless you are able to cluster, the scalability is lost and the high availability is lost. So I have given an indicative pricing per core at the bottom. You need to be very much aware of this before you decide upon this. It is okay for you to do some academic projects and some things where you don't much worry about the high availability and the scalability part of it. But when you want to really do it, there is a lot of cost involved. Maybe it will be costing much more than a RDBMS like Oracle. So what does the cluster do? The core, what is seen at the top, it is where the write goes. And it replicates to the bottom called the read replicas, the massive query throughput. The query will fire on the read replicas. This is available only with the enterprise edition. So the propagating updates the read replicas, that will happen eventually. The queries happen at the bottom. The read happen at the replicas. So now let us compare the Neo4j, RDBMS and normal SQL just to have a feel of what it is. Storage, you know that storage in fixed predefined tables or RDBMS. And NoSQL, absolutely, they don't support any relations. No, join, the databases involving join is a big pain when you want to use it, when you want to put it on top of a NoSQL. And Neo4j, native graph storage, the structure with index-free adjacency results in fast transactions and processing. That is the storage type. That the data modeling, you know that RDBMS data must be developed with the modelers, translated from a logical model to physical data. And whereas in other NoSQL, data model not suitable for enterprises, architects, wide columns and document. In NoSQL, we don't worry about normalization. You try to keep everything because olden days storage used to be very costly. These days, it is not like that. The performance is the ultimate goal, not saving space. So the Neo4j data modeling is very simple. It's whiteboard friendly. As you visualize, you can translate them to the Neo4j data model. And RDBMS, the query performance. In RDBMS, the query performance suffers with the number of depth of joins. If I have a query which is spanning 15 to 20 tables, it really goes slow. And in other NoSQL databases, there is no question of putting relationship, but whereas in Neo4j, the query performance is much high because of the native graph data processing and the zero latency and the implementation of index-free adjacency. The query language, RDBMS, SQL, you know, is very popular. Other NoSQL databases have their own query languages. For example, Cassandra has CQL. HBase has SQL, like that. There is no standard about the NoSQL databases. Whereas in case of Neo4j, the Cypher query language is taken as a standard almost. And comparison of transaction support. Here, RDBMS supports ACID, atomic, consistent, isolated, durability. And the NoSQL databases supports something called a base, basically available, soft state, eventually consistent. And I have written a blog, ACID to base transformation in the Data Science Central. You can Google for it and read about it. What triggered the ACID to base transformations. Especially the NoSQL funda is based on something called CAP theorem. And it's a separate branch on its own, brought out by a professor called Eric Brewer. It will be interesting to give another talk on the evolution of NoSQL databases. Major NoSQL databases currently being used are MongoDB, Cassandra, and like that. Most of the web applications use that. And Neo4j, even if it is getting categorized as a NoSQL database, it is one of the databases which supports ACID transactions. Basically, if you put something onto the data, either it is fully committed or it is rolled back. There is no intermediate state. That is the beauty of the ACID transaction, just like any RDBMS. So processing at scale, scale out. RDBMS, you know that scaling out is a big problem. The scalability. Scale out means you buy a processor with high capacity. It's called a free lunch. Basically, the database developers do nothing. They will ask you to buy a high-end server. Just copy the application, the database engine to a different thing and keep on doing that. But here, what happened is that is one of the reasons why the NoSQL evolved. It is based on multiple commodity servers. The scalability is called scale-out features. It depends on the scale-out architecture that does not protect the integrity of like data. And native Neo4j, it is having a scale-out feature, maintains data integrity via replication. This is one of the beautiful feature of Neo4j. It provides scale-out. Scale-out means I can add more number of nodes to the cluster to when you see that my performance is not enough. But whereas in RDBMS, Oracle parallel rack and all, 4 nodes, 5 nodes, after that they will say that there is absolutely nothing possible. But in Neo4j, there is not that type of problems are not there. And data center efficiency, RDBMS server console is possible, but costly for a scale-up architecture. Scale-out architecture is on commodity servers. You can add any number of servers for NoSQL. In Neo4j also, the scale-out is there. You can do it with a normal servers. You don't have to go for high-end servers at all. Now let us talk a little bit about the Cypher query language. Cypher is a declarative graph pattern matching language. It is the SQL of the graphs. It tabular results. Cypher is evolving steadily. There are minor syntax changes between relations, supports queries, including aggregation, ordering, limits. So there is an open Cypher project called Cypher, opencypher.org. SQL.org, I think you will see a site where you people want to learn generic SQL independent of any database. So this thing is being used in other graph databases like SAP, HANA, Redis, Agents Graph, and Neo4j. So it is getting wide acceptance. So what is meant by a Cypher query? Query is basically to pull out something from the ocean of graph. So the match is equivalent to the select in your SQL. Match person by name and loves whom. So this query will return who, whom, does, and love. This is the syntax of the normal Cypher query. Now, match older names. The Cypher query syntax, match is like select, declares an identifier. Usually this can be treated as a label, and restricts by node label. The person is a node label. And the identifier is being used to return the value actually. The customer, you can see the return customer. And restricts the by node by property, name. Because in there will be multiple nodes with the same label with a different name, with different properties. So you are putting a restriction on that. Then where the customer age is greater than 70. Age is a property of the person, where clause restrict the age. Then return the customer. This is the general syntax of match query. So the general query structure is like this: match, nodes, and relationship. You can do even query on relationship, where Boolean filter statement, return district statement as alias, order by properties, and skip. Lot of things can be done. So more on Cypher will be there in the hands-on session towards the end of this. We have a lot of time now. Now, to learn about Neo4j, you have a lot of books are available in open domain. Neo4j in action, definitive databases, and once upon a time, there used to be a lot of books on relational database. So the transition is happening. We know that prior to your RDBMS, there used to be something called hierarchical database, the IBM hierarchical database. When you learn about databases, it starts with the hierarchical. Now, these days, nobody uses hierarchical database. People move to RDBMS. Similar to that, basically, probably eventually, RDBMS may become a footnote. People may move to NoSQL databases, especially graph databases and things like that. So there are multiple courses available to learn about this. The first thing is available in the Neo4j website. There's something called Neo4j Academy, querying with Cypher. The query is a vast field. You have to learn a lot. Querying nodes and relationships, indexing and the query-based practice, importing data with Neo4j. In fact, there are various methods to import data into the Neo4j from a CSV file. Even from a live database, there are tools available. For example, you connect to a RDBMS running a database, it will pull out the data and populate it into Neo4j. So the migration becomes very simple. There are ETL tools provided by Neo4j. If you learn the 5th course, importing data with Neo4j, you will learn techniques with examples how to do that. So you can easily become a NAT certified Neo4j professional. You go to this Graph Academy, the certifications with an effort of maybe 2 to 3 days. You can repeatedly take the test. You will get a certificate with a Neo4j certified professional, and you will also get a T-shirt directly shipped from US, I think. It will come to you maybe within 1 month once you get the certifications. In fact, in Sandak, many people have taken certifications. Some 15 to 20 people have taken the certifications, and they add it to their profile to give value addition to their profile. So now we will move on to the hands-on session. I have installed, there are various methods by which you can do the hands-on. I have installed Neo4j desktop version on my laptop. I will be sharing the desktop version with you and showing some examples what to do. So okay, now what do I do? I did share the other screen. Yes. I believe you can see a screen called Neo4j Primer project. I think it is okay. So I have loaded a CSV file into this. I can show the contents of it. The contents are like this. Some employee names, role, and the salary and all. So database with this, making a lot of queries. Now, what do we do? Okay. So I have put to be handy, I have put all these commands in a file. So I had to go to the, so before we do this, actually we have to do one thing. You have to start a running instance. I have created a running database called JanaGraph. I have to start it. It takes some time to commit up. Then only I can fire the Cypher queries. So it is starting up. So database started. Now it's ready. Okay. Now for the browser. Click on browser. Okay. This is the thing. This is very, you can easily very good for self-learning. And so let me see whether this is empty or not. If not, I have to clean it up. So you enter your query here, then press like this, it will tell you, okay, there are some things already there. So let me clean it up first. Yeah, for the, so how do I clean it up? Yeah, there is a command to delete all the nodes with the relationship. So match n, detach, delete n. Detach means it will destroy the relationship also. If any node has a relationship, any other node, it won't allow you to delete the node unless you detach it from the other node. Okay, it has removed it. Column history. So it has got a history tool. Actually, it's very simple to do this. I can pull out my old commands like this. I am giving the old command to see whether, now it is empty, nothing is there. Okay. Now I will create a record by name like this. Create me, person, name, you, return me. This is creating a node, basically a record. So it is created. When I put my cursor on that, the attributes will, each node will have an ID come at the bottom. So don't think that this is something very graphically thing. There is a table version of it. The graph is shown just to give a real feel of the graph. But the contents, you can see that the output of results of some queries, and you can export as CSV and use it. Basically, when you do a database project, you play a lot initially with the SQL queries at the command level before you really move on to the programming things. Whatever you do here, you can do from a Java or Python code. So that part of the PPT, I have hidden it. I had some examples how to do that. Now, let us move on to the next thing. So we can create nodes and relationships together. Let us do that. You don't have to create two nodes and put a relationship. I can do it together like this. So create a person by name Jana, learning person, name Neo4j. Let us run it. So it's created it. Let me see the history, what is there. So you can see that there are two nodes, Neo4j, Jana, learning. The arrow you see, this is the same directed graph which you give from the learning thing, Jana, learning, Neo4j. The other one is not, the U is not attached anywhere. It is standalone thing. So you can add a thing, add label to that and include as part of any table if you want. Or you can modify the attributes. Now let us try to put some attributes onto U. So for doing anything, you have to just drag it by into a variable called n here, n u. Then I am adding attribute like name, location, language, and returning that. Let me run this. Okay, now if I click on Jana, you can see that language, Malayalam, Technopark, or name, Jana, all those things appears here. So that is the way you add attributes to the nodes. So you can create uniqueness. If there is something existing, you can do a lot of things. You can do the count, you can delete a property, find yourself and new relationships. NatGen database, create and a lot of things can be done. Now let me do a real thing like creating a table from a CSV file and try to do that. Okay, rational set relationships. Okay, let me pull out this. So at the beginning of the session, I have showed you a small database table with a lot of some 10 employee names. This is available in the professionals.csv. I'm creating a this thing with the professionals label, and I'm running it. Now, if I do match you can see a lot of things appearing here. See, all those things are all whatever I have imported, it is appearing like this. So when I move the cursor on top of that, you will see the attributes: salary, skill, J2E, company IBS, Jack, company like that. So this sits as independent records. Now we will see how to set some relationships, create relations between the nodes. So I will search the nodes by the label professionals and set friend relationship between most of them. Match A professionals, B professionals, name Sunil, and then create between them a relation like that. I am repeating it multiple times like this. Lot of relations are being set between the professionals in the group. Now, if I say match N, see the relationships has been set. So the Jack is friend of Sunil, Sunil is friend of Salim, like that. This is the proper graph database. So you have relationship. When I move the cursor on the front, it will say since 2010, 2013, like that. These are all the attributes attached to the relationships. Now let us see how to put some queries on it. So you can count the number of vertices. Basically, it is select star count equivalent to that. What do we do? So in the professionals category, there are 10 records. Select star, what do you say in DBMS? Count, select, count. Okay, I don't remember the exact same thing, equivalent to that. Return count n. How many instances are there? Now counting the number of edges. Basically, edges are nothing but the relationship. How many relationships exist in this database called professionals? We can see that there are 11 relationships existing. So this Cypher query is much more powerful than SQL. It gives you a lot of flexibility and freedom. For example, you know what is meant by the leaf node. In the graph, if I want to know the leaf nodes at the edge of the relationship. So this is the command which you need to do. Basically, it checks the relationship, and if the relationship points to a nothing, see, these are the mark with Salim and Vikas are leaf nodes. Why do I call it leaf nodes? I can scroll down. See, Vikas does not collect anywhere. Mark does not connect anywhere. These are all leaf nodes. Did I get 3? How come I got 3 there? Kas, Mark, Salim. Okay, from there is no relationship. That is why Salim has become as a leaf node. That is the end node. Okay, now what do we do next? Finding the label of a node. Let us do one interesting example. Count of friends of John working with Sandak. If I want to know how many friends John has who works with Sandak, the query is like this. Professionals database table, name John, first you search, friend, OP, professionals. The OP is a variable which returns where OP company equal to Sandak. So it will tell you, it says 2. And now in LinkedIn and all, you might have seen an interesting problem. When you search for a person, it will say that somebody can introduce him to that person, another person, another person can introduce to another person, and finally the 4th person can introduce to that person. So friends of friends of friends, that type of things are very interesting to find out like this. You can find out how many friends of friends. So this type of queries can be easily found. Ideally, it is suited for the social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, and all. So find the mutual friends of John. You can do like this. So these are mutual friends of John. Now let us do some little bit complicated queries about the pathfinding. Okay. If you want to know the specific path between 2 nodes, basically from one person to other person, if I want to get some favor, I have to approach it through whom, like that. You can ask your friend, then that friend can ask his friend, like that. So this is friends of friend, like this. So this is one type of pathfinding, finding the length between specific nodes. What is how many nodes I need to traverse to reach the final node. So this query is Cypher is much more powerful than SQL. So it is 2, it is returning as 2. Then finding the shortest path between specific nodes. So this is the shortest path between 2 nodes, between John and Robin. To know that, actually you should see the actual original graph. Yeah, where is John? John and Robin. John is here, Robin is here. Okay, either it can come via John, Jack, James, or John, Jack, Sunil. Okay, this direction is in this way. It cannot reach there. It can follow the direction. That is why it has selected John, Jack, James, and Robin. John, Jack, Sunil, Robin. Yeah, this is correct. The arrow is following. The relationship direction is very important in this case of Neo4j. Yeah, time is almost 6:55. I am done with my presentations. If any of you have some questions, you can try to answer. So, any questions?
Any questions from any of the participants?
Hope you have enjoyed this. Basically, this is a paradigm shift in databases. With the evolution of social networking, this is the way to go forward, because people survive on relationships between people like that. So better to be aware of this. In near future, you may get an opportunity to use it in some live projects. So I believe some of you will try to get certification on Neo4j. Very easy. If you put some effort for 5 days, you can become a certified Neo4j professional.
I think you have made a very lucid presentation, and you have covered all the aspects, and maybe the hands-on demo I couldn't get much because my screen was remaining stationary. I hope the others who had installed it would have been able to see it. Anyway, thank you very much on behalf of the Computer Society of India and others for giving such a very lucid presentation on a contemporary topic. Thank you very much. And I hope if people have any doubts, they can clear online with your email ID.
Yeah, you can reach me.
They come across doubts, because now they must have got a flavor of the whole thing, and when they try out, they might get in touch with you. I hope your email ID.
Yeah, in fact, our company used this in one of our solutions. So that is the way we had to build up some expertise in our company about Neo4j. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. And I thank the CSA office bearers also. So I think we can sign off, isn't it, Mahesh?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Thanks, Janardhan sir and Wilson ma'am for wonderful session. It was
Thank
great.
you.
Okay.
Bye.
So I am terminating this session. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.